All right, let's get to him. Dave Tomlinson, former NHLer, Canuck insider. Dave, first and foremost, welcome back to the show. Let's get your thoughts tonight on the Vancouver Canucks, who saw the game right in their hands. Then they had to go to overtime, but the resolve of JT Miller and the Canucks gets them the extra point. Good evening, Dave. What'd you make of tonight's game?
Well, I think this team now is got confidence and on a roll. And even if they, kind of cough up a point towards Montreal, they found a way to get the all-important one at the end. And I'm just seeing less panic in their game. We've talked about that in a couple of post-game shows. If you go back a month, there was a lot of panic in the Canucks game. And a game like this, a one-goal game, they just weren't comfortable playing in those games and found ways to lose them. And now they're on this roll. They've won 8 of the last 10. And what I'm looking for is in the crucial situations when the other team is coming on, how are the Canucks playing in their own end? What are their defensemen doing when they get the puck? I'll reference a month ago saying that they would just literally just throw it somewhere else so that it wasn't on their stick anymore. Now they've taken that extra moment to kind of breathe, make a play with the puck, make a pass rather than just knock the puck from one area of the ice in their own zone to a bad area where the other team gets the puck and just keeps on rolling. And then, one of the things I think the Canucks have done a bit of a better job of as of late is they haven't taken, some really bad penalties. I know we'll probably talk about penalties with you, and I'm fine with that. But they've cleaned it up, and it starts with their goaltending. Again, Thatcher Demko, they're getting outshot every single time he's in the net. And it seems like he's comfortable. He's making those big saves when the other team wants to try to swing the momentum. And the Canucks haven't found themselves giving away so many scoring chances late in games that they're forced to fatigue and then end up giving a late one. Of course, it's a couple of power play goals against, but the other team always has a say in how the game's going to go. But I thought, again, the Canucks in this game, they looked more comfortable than they've seen in a while.
I want to talk about when you're facing a goaltender that's in the zone, because I think the word's out right now across the North Division that Thatcher's locked in. When you're playing for the other team and you've got a goaltender that's dialed in, how do you approach that game? Is it just fire everything you can at him? Are you overthinking of how you're going to try to beat this brick wall? What are you trying to do to solve right now what looks to be the North Division's Rubik's Cube?
Well, it's interesting. I make, small little notes that probably don't make sense to anybody but me. And one of the things I said was Montreal missing the net early. And that's because Thatcher Demko was playing so well. And so, you're going up against a goaltender who's hit a hot streak. There's so much overcoaching going on that in the course of a day, you're going to have your morning skate, you're going to have your coach barking out orders, you're going to have your assistant coach taking over some of the drills, then you're going to have the goalie coach, get you together and make sure that you warm up their goalie the proper way. Then you're going to have the video coach show you some things about the opposition. Like, your head just starts swimming. And then when it gets to game time, you're trying to figure out which receptors you're going to go with. He told me this, he told me that. And, if you're a team that goes up against a hot goaltender, all of a sudden you're trying to pick corners. And when you do that, your success rate is pretty small. And the Canadiens are missing the net a lot in this game. And so I thought that, with their power play, of course, they're able to capitalize. But for 5-on-5, Thatcher Demko was so solid and so positional. He's forcing other teams to either second-guess shooting, so they'll, swing back and then move it back to the point and go for the old, hey, let's get some traffic. Or players that normally would hit the net. You look at Tyler Toffoli, a couple of opportunities in the hockey game with the puck on his stick in a scoring zone where he normally scores from, and he's not even getting a shot on net because it's in his head too. I've got to make a perfect shot, and in that momentary thought between about to release the puck and where am I going to put it, you second guess, like, am I getting enough on it? Is it the right spot? And lo and behold, it doesn't even hit the goalie.
I look ahead to tomorrow, and conventional wisdom says Braden Holtby. And maybe they've announced it while we're having this conversation, but I mean, I hate to say it, but if I'm Travis Green, I don't want to touch the guy that's thrown the no-no as of lately. Is it logical to start Holtby? Is this a difference between the heart and the head?
I think what you do is you look at the run of play coming into this with Thatcher Demko and starting the 8 straight, and then you think, okay, if I play him tomorrow and he falters, what do I do on Monday? I have to go to Holtby. Like, I forced myself to do that. If Demko, for whatever reason, isn't up to the task in the back-to-back, flying back home, you end up going with Holtby. And then you have one game on Wednesday, and then you've got a week break. So I would go. Holtby was signed for this very reason, to stabilize the goaltending, to push Thatcher Demko. He's done that. Thatcher Demko has taken over the net. Thatcher Demko is the starter for the Vancouver Canucks, to the point where we have to argue, should he be playing back-to-back games? I think this isn't the right time to push Demko into that position. I think you're going to have some games coming up where you absolutely need to have him in that net. And I think that it's on Braden Holtby tomorrow to steal a game in Montreal. Obviously, the Canucks won this one, but you look at the Canadiens' record; they still pick up a point, so they still have this wonderful record against the Vancouver Canucks and not losing in regulation. But this is why you spent the money on getting a quality backup goaltender who's got a Stanley Cup to his name. Hasn't obviously played like his resume at this point, but he's going to have to come to the forefront against the Montreal Canadiens for the Canucks to have this successful role to keep on going.
You've been in locker rooms. I always want to call it clubhouse because of the baseball connection, but you've been in locker rooms around this time of year when the bug starts getting spread about potential trades or movement within a locker room. What is the conversation amongst players when that kind of thing's going on? Because we all sit here as fans and hockey analysts and analysts, and we say, okay, this is happening, that's happening. What's going on conversation-wise in the locker room? Do they keep that noise out, or do they look around and say, that guy's probably feeling it because he's obviously a guy that might get moved?
Well, most of the time the players get their information from other players and other teams, and because there's not as much contact with other teams, then that isn't happening as much. And so you get it from your own agent. You're talking with your agent about how the team is giving feedback and where you are contract status wise, and your agent's the one who's got his fingers in all the pots and can talk to everybody, and it filters into the dressing room. But a mature room understands this. It's the nature of the game. No player is going to go through their NHL career without being traded or without being talked about to be traded. And when the trade deadline comes, it's pretty simple. You look at guys that expiring contracts. You look at guys who are overpaid for what they're delivering. Those guys know their names are going to be talked about. And I think because there's so much conversation, we're so used to that now, the players themselves, it doesn't stick in anymore. When you back in the day, of course, I'll go back to when I was playing, it was so much easier to trade a guy. I mean, first of all, there's no such thing as no trade clauses. Second of all, you can negotiate a contract with somebody at any time. Now you have to wait until the last year of their contract to even talk about an extension or anything like that. They didn't have that back in the 80s and early 90s. I mean, you could be traded at any time. You didn't have any protection. You could get to a new team. They could sign a new extension at any time. Like, it was a little bit of the Wild West. But now they've regulated things so much. I think this Canuck team knows, though, that they still don't have enough depth on defense. They've got defensemen that can play. They've got their top six guys, and I think that Travis Hamonic has really settled in. I heard you talk about Nate Schmidt earlier, and I think the reason Nate Schmidt's playing better is because Travis Hamonic is settled in, and so they're able to, cut down on the ice time that they have to put towards Schmidt, because Hamonic is a good partner for Quinn Hughes. So the Canucks' six defensemen right now, I think they're good with what they have. But a game like tonight, you had Edler leave during the game. You didn't know if he was going to come back. You had Myers leave during the game. You didn't know if he was going to come back. They don't have another defenseman that they can pull in. Chatfield's not there yet. Brisebois, whatever other names you want to, Rafferty. They're not going to be able to simply replace any veteran that the Canucks have. So if they're going to do anything, it's always solidifying your defense. That's going to come at a cost. And then you start to look at what forwards for the Canucks can be used in bringing someone towards their team at the trade deadline.
I'm going to go into the inbox, and I appreciate you letting me just look and read this right off the screen. Ask Dave Tomlinson about how to stay sharp, both mentally and physically, if you're a member of the taxi squad. I don't know if everybody's completely familiar with what a taxi squad is. I know it's just being available and being at the ready, but as a player that is, maybe it's a Michael DiPietro, maybe it's a Louis Eriksson or a Jalen Chatfield, what are they doing to stay sharp, and can you stay sharp when you're not playing?
Well, I think it's easier when you're a younger player because you're just so excited to be there. It might wear off a little bit. The pressure really is on the assistant coaches to keep the drills active and changing them up so that you have the players' attention. But it really does come down to the player to make sure that they're getting their workouts in. I mean, it's such a unique situation this year. Not a lot of times throughout a hockey season can you get stronger or faster as the season goes on. You get into your kind of your hockey shape and you try to go with that for as long as you can, but you're never really able to keep the mass that you built up with your weightlifting in the off season, and you start to just get used to your hockey legs, but you don't get to strengthen those. So these guys that are on the taxi squad, the younger players, I mean, this is an awesome opportunity for them to know what it's like to be around the team and still get the opportunity to get their workouts in and get stronger and get faster. You just hope that they get an opportunity to play here and there along the way. For myself, I would rather be in a taxi squad if I'm like a third or fourth year vet than play in the American League, because you feel that you're a lot closer to things. You feel like you're a part of the team. And really, to make sure you stay sharp, it's the standard things that got you to the NHL. Get your sleep, eat properly, and when you're out there, work your tail off.
Final question for you, Dave. It's becoming a thing. They're all asking, talk about the Bobby Orr picture behind you. I need to know. It's signed as well.
Yeah, it is. It says, to the sniper, good luck always, Bobby Orr. So obviously I played at Boston University. I was a Bruins fan growing up. I was a Bobby Orr fan. I wore number 17 because of Stan Jonathan. And Bobby Orr was doing an autograph signing across the street at a bank. And I went across to get an autograph, and I was in line and nervous, of course, because it's Bobby Orr. And so I come up to him and I said, Mr. Orr, yeah, I got to tell you, you're one of my favorite players, and obviously I'd like to have an autograph, but I play at Boston University, and just a big fan of the city. And he's like, oh yeah, Sniper, isn't it? I said, pardon? Yeah, your nickname's Sniper. I'm like, yeah. He goes, yeah, I watched you guys play this last week. Jack Parker's a heck of a coach. Keep it up. And I was blown away. So he signs it to the Sniper, and it's one of my keepsakes, I would say.
That's a heck of a keepsake, but an even better story. That's fantastic. Well, yeah,
he's got the Stanley Cups, and he knows my nickname. It's a little bit crazy. I know we didn't get time to get into the puck over the glass penalty. I'm all for it.
Yes, please.
If anything, to meet some of the people who don't agree with it, maybe not halfway, but a little bit. I was thinking about it today, even before the Tyler Mott incident. I mean, you can still make the glass a little bit higher. If you want to, you can make it a little bit higher. Here's the beauty for me of that penalty, of the puck over the glass call. Teams want a forecheck. They want to get in after the defense. Players, I mean, they have so much control over the puck. Quick segue. I'm going to go back to 1987. Okay, I played for the Richmond Sockeyes. We were on our way to winning the Centennial Cup. It was a playoff game. It was in the Richmond Arena. I was out there. The other team was all over us. I finally got the puck. I literally shot it into the fifth row just to get a break, and then made it look like it was an accident, of course. No call. I knew what I was doing. I was totally gassed, and all I could do was just get enough to get the puck out of play to get a whistle. Didn't want to ice it. Didn't want to make a play. I was too tired. I knew I could put it from the slot area into the crowd, and there'd be nothing to do it. Now, because of this rule, defensemen are forced to make plays. Players are forced to do something other than go to the default of, I'll just fire it out of the rink. I mean, there's fan safety involved. That's not the reason they made the rule as much as you'd like to think. It's for forechecking and the speed of the game, and any mistake costing the opposition. I mean, did Tyler Mott mean to put that over the glass? No, he did not. Was it a penalty? Did he clearly put it over? Yes, he did. And most players don't mean to put it over the glass. But the whole idea of why it usually goes over is because they're being forced to do something at a fast speed and make a quick decision. And if they don't keep it in the confines of the rink, it should be penalized. I'm fully for it.
I totally understand. I always just think when you've got two sticks that are colliding, and obviously one's using a 7-iron and one's using a 4-wood, you know what? You got to be able to give these guys a little opportunity to battle for the puck. And I actually get the rule as well, and I'm not against it. But I just think in those moments when these two guys are fighting for a puck, who's to say that it, didn't carry him off his stick? Or I don't know. For me, I've now had two people tell me I'm wrong, quote unquote. But I just sit back and I'm like, gotta let these guys fight for the puck. And if it inadvertently goes over the glass, I understand the rule in the context of the big picture, but I just think in those moments, man, that's the call you don't need to make. But I guess you have to because it's been implemented by the NHL.
And it's not new. I mean, the players by this point are aware of it. And so I could go as far as saying, okay, maybe you could allow it to be a reviewable situation. Normally the refs do that themselves. We're talking amongst it and they've got enough set of eyes. They're usually on it. I mean, you rarely get a puck over glass call that was completely wrong. And you have to live with some bad calls. I mean, if you don't want any bad calls in hockey, then I guess you're having computer programs calling the games or the big eye in the sky, and nobody wants that. There's no accountability there. So the Canucks, how about this, Rob? Between now and the end of the month, they're going to benefit from the puck over the glass penalty that probably shouldn't have been called against the opposition, but it was. Canucks scored on the power play, and then there you go.
I felt tonight in the moment it gave Montreal a point that they didn't deserve. But I digress. I'm gonna defer to you every time on this.
5 later, kill the penalty. Like you just don't know. But it's
totally agree.
If I'm forechecking a defenseman, I want to know that might pay off in a power play somehow if I'm on him fast enough and he wants to put it up the glass, but because I was in there, he ends up just elevating it too quickly because he doesn't want to get hit by the big steamroller and throws it over the glass, and I've got my team a power play. If I'm doing the same forecheck and he just fires it over the glass and everyone just skates around and the whistle blows and you go, well, so much for that. Well, I might not forecheck next time because I know he can do whatever he wants with it.